in medical informatics and decision making at IGHI, and I'm the course director for the MSc in patient safety. I'm also a GP 1 day a week on Fridays. In fact, as of last month, I've been a GP for 30 years, so time flies. But my interests are in patient safety, decision making, informatics, safer diagnosis, particularly management of cancer diagnosis in primary care, and long COVID and various diagnostic tools. So let's have a quick set of introductions. Anna, would like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm the Deputy Director of the Masters. I'm also Associate Director of the Patient Safety Translational Research Center, and also a GP 1 day and a half per week, so not very different.
Okay. Alistair?
Hi, my name is Alistair Smithies. I'm the Acting Director of Education for the Institute of Global Health Innovation, and I look after the quality assurance of our Masters programs.
Okay. And Lana?
Hi everyone, my name is Lana and I am one of the module leads for one of the modules on the Masters of Patient Safety. I'm also a postgraduate researcher at IGHI in health economics.
Excellent. And Demi?
Hello, I'm a course administrator for cancer department.
Good. Okay, so I don't think I've left anyone out.
Hello, sorry. My name is Floyd Pennycook. Can you see me?
No.
Oh, let's try. Oh, I thought I'd be listed. My apologies for butting in, but I've joined this just to find out a bit more about the MSc and whether I can do the postgraduate certificate as well as the postgraduate diploma certificate.
Thank you. What we're going to do is we're going to do a brief introduction, show some slides. Myself and Anna have a quick video from David Navarro about the WHO linkages and things, and then hear from Lana, and then we'll go over to questions. So there'll be plenty of time, about half the time on questions. So we've got time for plenty of that. Okay, so welcome to this. I'm going to start off. For the next slide, please, Anna. Now, patient safety MSc, I think is quite interesting because it's really designed to give people skills in analysing data or approaching a particular safety problem, knowledge about patient safety as an area, and the ability to move forward in their careers with things that they would not otherwise have been able to do. And we have a bunch of students each year who are clinical, doctors, nurses, some of them relatively early in their careers, others much later on when they've been given some experience and also some responsibility for patient safety management in their organisation. And we aim for the course to really be embedded in the professional experience of the work that people are doing, and to be very practical and hands-on, but whilst giving them the academic depth that a master's at Imperial would be expected to do. So you'll see on the list there that we've got a broad list of things: societal impact, quality, global health innovation, for example. We'll go over the individual modules in detail in a minute. But it's meant to be global in outlook. So that it's not sort of focused just on the NHS, although we use a number of NHS examples for things, but also international ones. Next slide, please. And the key thing within each module is covering the ground from the theory perspective and key and important papers in an area, learning the techniques for analysis and research in each of the individual modules, and thinking about how you would apply that to your own practice, either through using a particular problem from your own practice or set of data or something from that. And you're supported at each stage with module leads who are world-leading academics from Imperial and other institutions in doing this. Anna, next one. The entry requirements are normally a 2-1, bachelor's degree with honours in a healthcare related subject or a management related subject or a medical degree or equivalent or comparable qualification. 3 years relevant work experience. And each module it's level 7 with a minimum 6.5 in each element or equivalent on the English language test there. If you don't meet the academic requirements, then we have 2 other routes through to that. You can have a special qualifying exam, and you can also do an interview to do with that. And we get let known by college what they need, and Anna and I do those with people. So it's not an insurmountable barrier. I think that the most important thing is if people have an aptitude for doing things and we've got plenty of experience in the area, we can usually work it out so people come onto the course. Anna, next slide. Okay, you're going to take over now and talk about the structure.
Yeah, sure. So we'll talk just a little bit more about the structure and the type of content and how it comes together actually as part of the whole module. So when we talk about the learning outcomes, and this is just to give you an idea of the kind of skills and knowledge that you'll gain as part of the program. When we think about the learning objectives, we usually highlight these 3 as core learning outcomes. The first one is to be able to demonstrate an extensive knowledge and understanding of both the context and the practices that can influence patient safety, but also healthcare quality in a broader context. Another aspect that's really important is the critical appraisal of the literature. As you know, we have 1,000 papers published every year, and it's really very difficult to pick up the information that's important, that's relevant, and that can actually have an impact and benefit patients and systems. So one important aspect here as a learning outcome is the ability to identify and to critically appraise the literature relevant in this subject, and to use it to understand the problem and the research questions that need to be addressed. Finally, the third objective is more about a hands-on approach. It's not just about knowing what's out there and trying to put that in context of your problem, but also giving you the skills to be able to collect data and to do that in a way that's methodologically sound and can help answer given research question. So these are the 3 learning objectives that we usually highlight as part of that you'll gain as part of this program. Going into more practical aspects, how does this work and which kind of modules do you have and how do they come together? So basically we have 2 years of modules and the 3rd year that is part of dissertation. As you can see here, the first year includes 5 different modules. Some of these modules are shared with the Masters on Health Policy. So you'll see that there's some overlap. As you can see here, the modules in blue are common to both programs. And some others are just specific for patient safety. So these modules, usually each student takes 2 modules per term. We'll talk about in the future how this will work in practice for you. And they will span 2 years before the actual dissertation that you can see here takes at the end as terms 3 and 4. I'm just going to give you a little bit more detail about the content of these modules. As you can see, and as obviously you might know by this at this stage, patient safety is a very, very broad subject. So we try to break it down in some core areas, which include, as you can see here, improvement in practice, which is much more of a practical, a pragmatic approach to implement change, but also the more theoretical and the more context-related aspects, such as health systems and policy, that will allow you to understand the building blocks of healthcare system. That includes, as you know, financing, resources, policy, and how they come together to support service delivery. We'll also cover the social impact of patient safety, safer systems, innovation in healthcare. Innovation in healthcare covers, and we'll give you basically several examples about how innovation, both in medical devices, pharma, but also health services delivery, can actually improve patient safety. And of course, there's a strong focus on digital technologies as well there. Sorry, let me just try to minimize my window. And the last 3 modules are around decision-making, human factors and organizations, and leadership. So as you can see, there's a quite diverse program covering different aspects of patient safety, and hopefully will give you the skills and knowledge to understand the factors that are related to people, that are related to systems, and that are related to overall processes that can improve patient safety. Also, from a pragmatic point of view, and this is something that we can discuss in more detail, the expected total time for the masters is calculated based on 24 months, and that includes, is what college calculates as basically as 98 ECTS. And we expect that up to 1/4 of that time would be actually time spent engaging with online content. So that means time that you'll actually be working on the platform, going through your readings, working with your peers, small group learning activities, etc. And then the 3/4 of the remaining time would be made up of your independent study and completing your assignments. And we'll have time to discuss in more detail what kind of assignments we'll have, and Alizer will also help us on that part at a later stage. Finally, I just wanted to give you an overview about the kind of online learning environment and supportive environment that you have around. So this program actually is quite diverse in what concerns the type of activities. So as you know, it's a fully online program, but activities include readings, asynchronous discussions, podcasts, webinars. So we try to make it quite diverse, and we try to articulate the different activities in a way that they are engaging and they are varied, they are perceived as varied. We also have reading lists consisting of essential and additional reading materials. And this is something that is really important. So there's a very clear separation or distinction between the core readings, the things that you really need to do, and they are very core and critical for you to understand the basic concepts, but also the ones that are additional, so that based on your personal experience and personal circumstances, you can actually tailor the experience and choose whatever additional readings or non-core materials you want to read in further detail. So you won't be working alone, of course. You'll have a team of teaching fellows that are working alongside Brandon and myself, the module leads and the deputy module leads, and of course with Brandon and myself. And they will be your first point of contact. They will have very close and responsive relationship. Basically, they will support you in any questions that you might have, facilitate online discussions. And of course, there's also office hours, which is a protected time for you to come and share any questions, any doubts, and that they might be content related or might be related with the structure and organization and the way the course is organized. And you'll have, of course, tailored learning support, pastoral support with an assigned tutor that will be able to support you as part of the Imperial community. So this is the overall practical information that I wanted to share. We'll discuss after in more detailed assessments with Alice there, and also some specific content with Lana, who's also a module co-lead. And I think that's all from my side. Yeah.
Is it my turn now to talk about the module?
I think we might now share the video from David.
Sorry, I was muted. Can we have the video up, please?
Hello, my name is David Nabarro, and I would like to welcome you to this briefing about the Imperial College Master's course in Patient Safety. A bit about myself. I actually work at Imperial. I'm co-director of the Institute for Global Health Innovation. I also work as WHO's Special Envoy on COVID-19, and I am setting up a program of dialogues on the future of food systems to prepare for a food systems summit that is taking place later this year. Actually, I became involved in the issue of patient safety when I was working as an Assistant Director General at the World Health Organization in 2002. That was when a number of countries, but with the United Kingdom strongly in the lead, came together to ask the Director General of WHO to initiate an initiative on patient safety. And that's because of the growing evidence that healthcare is associated in some cases with harm to those who are being cared for. 1 in 10 patients, according to some reports, are subject to an adverse event while receiving hospital care. But if we look at what happens in other aspects of healthcare, the impacts may be even more frequent. And the estimate for lower and middle income countries is suggesting an even higher proportion of patients are actually harmed during medical care. And overall, 60% of deaths in lower and middle income countries are reckoned to be associated with conditions that are amenable to better quality hospital-based care. And we see examples of this even now. Just 2 weeks ago, I read a report of an elderly patient who was confused, who accidentally had the wrong leg amputated in a hospital in Austria. And the patient is unfortunately going to have to go through a second procedure to amputate the other leg, the one that should have been amputated in the first place. This is not necessary. And many people feel that this is just not acceptable. And that's why it is absolutely essential that we systematically understand why patients get harmed during healthcare and what can be done to address the challenges, particularly given that safe care will be essential in achieving universal health coverage. Now, there are challenges and we understand those, and that's why at the Institute for Global Health Innovation, we are seeking to try to help shape global health policy in relation to patient safety. We are involved in Patient Safety Translational Research Centre, which is aiming to develop patient safety in the National Health Service and internationally through novel research and the translation of evidence-based best practice into different organizations involved in healthcare, as well as to professional groups, to make sure that clinical partners, whether they are medical or nursing or in other professions, are well able to introduce protocols that increase the likelihood that patients receive the safest possible care. And that's why Imperial is working closely with the Global Patient Safety Collaborative, which has been set up with support from the World Health Organization to bring patient safety higher up the agenda. And that's where the Center for Health Policy in our institute has been a partner in the World Innovation Summit for Health to disseminate the best evidence-based ideas and practices in global healthcare. Now, I actually think that coming to join us at Institute is going to be good, not just for you, but also for others with whom you work. Because at Imperial, what we're trying to do is to bring together leading academics in order to establish the best kind of impactful applied research in patient safety, doing it in ways that engage with patients themselves as well as with their carers, and making sure that we approach patient safety as a systems issue and one where we take account of the fact that many different groups are involved in patient care. And one of the biggest challenges is to find ways in which they can work together to get the best possible outcomes. In doing this, we engage with patient safety advocates who help us ensure that the research that we do can actually read across into policy. And we engage with many organizations across the globe because this is one area in which collective action is valued and makes such a difference. And perhaps you can hear it in my voice. We're passionate about using our expertise to enable global leaders to become change makers in patient safety. And that's why we've established the Masters in Patient Safety that's been launched in collaboration with Bayer Pharmaceuticals. This course is open to UK and international applicants. It's fully online, which means there's a flexible approach to learning and responding to emerging needs. It also aligns closely with the World Health Organization's curriculum on patient safety, in which we are closely involved. And the course is delivered through a combination of online learning, group learning, and live virtual teaching sessions from world-leading experts in the field. We hope that the course will actually have a number of key benefits, and we evaluate our work very closely according to these criteria. First, are we offering best practice frameworks that are drawn from healthcare practitioners who are actively involved in care around the world? Secondly, are we offering real-world insights? And can we present case studies that actually connect directly with our students? Can we enable our students to have opportunities to improve their skills and become future patient safety leaders? And lastly, are the live teaching sessions that we offer ones that will really make a difference? We're continuously evolving, and we want you, please, to come and join us. Find out more. And then if from us you hear some things that really make you feel inspired, please come and join us and be part of the community of advocates for patient safety throughout the world. You can make a difference, and we'd love to join with you in making that happen.
Good. Okay. Lana, tell us about your module.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. As I already said in my introduction, so I'm one of the module leads. I'm the module lead for the health systems and policy module. So health systems and policy module is one of your very early modules in the masters. I believe it's module 2. So it comes very early on. So the content that you'll be learning as part of this particular module will later act as kind of building blocks for the rest of your masters. So some of the key concepts and themes that we cover are all about what is a health system, what are the goals and functions of a health system. Then we also move into the role of evidence in health systems, including evidence-based policymaking. We also touch on how best to measure the performance of health systems, including some of the relevant indicators that you may wish to use to measure health system performance. And finally, and probably the most technical content that we cover are some example of methods to use for evaluating health policy. So the goal of the module really is to enable you to apply research principles and methods to be able to critically appraise global, national, and local health systems and policies. So as Anna already mentioned, teaching you how to critically appraise and how to really be critical in your analysis of health systems worldwide is one of the core objectives of the course. And we kind of set the scene for that in this module, which is one of the early ones. Another objective is to enable you to assess and illustrate health system performance with reference to health outcomes, responsiveness, equity, and financial protection within health systems. You also learn how to critically evaluate the resources and models that can be used to compare different health systems worldwide, as well as how to critically reflect on how health policy can influence patient safety within your own context. So there's a real focus on ensuring that you consider the implications of the learnings of the module for your particular role, for your professional role and learning needs. So as I mentioned, as it's one of the early modules, there's going to be a lot of questions that you might have on health systems, on patient safety, that will not necessarily be fully answered as part of this module. But this module should make you equipped to make the most of the rest of your master's program, and everything you learn within this module, you will build on further in the other modules of your master's. So in terms of the delivery, I think Anna's already mentioned quite a bit about it, but there are 2 key components. One is the asynchronous component, which you will be covering in your own time. And this includes video lectures, activities, readings, and discussion forums where you can exchange ideas with your peers. And this is all going to be delivered on an online platform. And as I mentioned, so this is something that you do in your own time. There's no specified time for you to complete those activities. And then there is the synchronous component, which consists of live sessions, and live sessions could kind of take a number of different formats. So in the past, we've had external speakers, lectures, group or individual work on specifically designed activities for the purposes of live sessions. And we've also run Q&A sessions in the past, so opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may have on module content. And then the other part of the kind of synchronous component is the office hours. So every week, the module team offers office hours where you're able to kind of clarify any questions that you may have, or basically just get in touch with us about anything you wish to discuss concerning module content. The module is assessed both in a formative and a summative way. So the formative assessment does not contribute towards your final grade. So this could take place through participating in learning activities, receiving peer feedback, or solutions to online activities, for example. And then there is the summative assessment, which is the more sort of traditional coursework component. And for this module, this consists of a reflective journal, which asks you to reflect on module learnings and how you can apply them to your real life professional setting. And then the second component of the summative assessment is a written report, which this year was a critical appraisal of a systematic review. So as has already been mentioned, there is a wide range of support available to you during the running of a particular module. So there are the module leads who are there to support you through the live sessions, through office hours, and any specific content queries that you may have. We are also supported by the teaching fellows who can also answer a lot of the content related queries, and the postgraduate administrators who are usually your first point of contact, especially for administrative queries, but they can also direct you to the right person if you're not sure who might be able to help. So that's kind of the overview. This module is probably going to feel like a lot because it does come early on in your learning, but it is intended to provide a good basis to build on, and support is always available to you throughout the running of the module. And we've really worked hard on designing a very rich experience with different types of learning activities, including group work, online lectures and activities, readings, live sessions and lectures. So we hope that it will be a very enriching experience if you decide to join us. That's all from me. So I'll hand back over to Anna.
Yeah, as well as Alistair, anything to add around assessment and impact?
Sure, I'll just post up some slides on this. Hang on just a second. I think that should share. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
There we go. Are we seeing the slides? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, perfect. So just first of all, on our programs, what we want to do is just to encourage you to think about what it is to study at a postgraduate level here. First of all, it takes quite a time commitment to do this. So think about forward planning, think about work-life study balance. And in terms of what we do on this program, you've already heard we put a lot of energy and effort into making sure that you are fully supported through the program. We have a resource area online. It is an online program, but we do have both synchronous and asynchronous sessions to teach you and to engage you in group work with your peers. We have the program leads, Anna, Brendan, both here. We have teaching fellows who you'll have heard about just previously. They are there to support you in your academic practice, mentoring and coaching you. The module leads, the individual module leads like Lana, and then we put you into peer support groups. So your groups will also be there to support you when you're undertaking group work in the program. What is the format of assessment on our programs? Well, we use two core kinds of assessment. We use reflective journals, which are used in all modules, which look at your professional identity as you develop through the year, through the 2 years of the program. You capture in a few hundred words at each module midpoint how you're finding those foundational concepts. So what have you learned from the module so far and the foundational concepts? What does that mean for you, and what your role is as a patient safety advocate? And the third element of this is how will you apply it in your future practice? And each of these journal entries is worth around 20% of the entire module. We encourage you to think about your own experience and how it's changed your thinking and what impact that then has and potential to achieve change in your work. So that should include some references. We recommend about 4 or 5 references to the core materials and the readings. And then at the end of each module, we have an end of module assessment, and some of these have several components to them. They are unique to each module. So you might be writing a press briefing, you might be writing a formal report for your board. You may be writing a leadership action plan as part of this. But in general, what we ask you to do is apply methods and frameworks that you're learning about to your work, to projects that you're undertaking in your work, in your practice, and evaluating and synthesizing data that you collect around that work to make recommendations for change. So we really encourage you to link what you do with the program. And we also want you to create a triangle between what you're learning and your practice, but also the theory. So we really require you at the end of module assessments to draw on contemporary theories, policies, and best practice methods as part of that program. And in that assessment, to make linkages with that to what you're doing. So that is the principles of how we authentically assess you through this program. That is the authentic link there. And I'd welcome any questions on that further on in the presentation, but I'll hand you back to Anna now.
So I would emphasize here that the time commitment is really quite important, and that's likely to come up in questions, but it's 22 hours a week of study on this, of which about half is kind of directly led by the material on the online modules and attendance at the synchronous events online, but and the other half of which is reflective. So it's thinking about what you're reading, looking at other things, that kind of thing. But you can't really duck the 22 hours, and you need to think quite carefully about how you fit 22 hours into your other commitments, both in work and personal life. Because if you don't have that time available, you really will struggle. I think that is a really important point. I'd also point out that I'm also a module lead on systems and safety, and Anna on the social impact of safety. So open for questions. So if you want to use the hand function, pop your hands up or put them in text if you prefer. I don't mind either. Floyd. Yes, go ahead, Floyd. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
My apologies for breaking in earlier. I didn't understand what was going on, how to join late.
Yes.
What it is, I'm very much interested in this course because I am actually quality improvement patient safety, and I've got 6 years experience in the hospital, and I'm desire to have the postgraduate certificate and a diploma. And it sounds quite exciting that I may actually go and complete the masters. So I just want to make sure I can do the certificate and the diploma first as part of this course, or is it just a masters all in one go?
It's set up so that the first year is the certificate, the second year is a diploma, and the dissertation component is the completion of the masters. It's possible to interrupt or stop at any point of that, exit with that, and then come back into it, if you see what I mean. Then we don't formally give people a certificate, then a diploma, then a master's, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. That's okay. That's good. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Nicole. Andrews. Go ahead. Nicole? I can't hear you, at least I can't.
Not sure Nicole's microphone's working.
Yeah, do you want to type it in the question in the chat box?
Should we take
Well, we'll go on to
Helen's question? Yeah.
I just wondered, I know obviously you're currently in the first year of running the online course at the moment. I just wondered, other similar courses I know have a third separate year for the dissertation. And I just wondered how, or whether you're anticipating any challenges with, like I say, I know it's a new course, but challenges with completing the dissertation element within the second year of the course.
Anna, do you want to take that? I know we've discussed it.
Yeah, well, we have discussed that, so it's not really set in stone. So what I can tell you is that, of course, it's the first year, and we are very responsive to student feedback. So when issues are raised like this, time commitment, or if things are just becoming too hard, we are really open to try to accommodate the program and to adapt the program as much as we can. Of course, keeping in mind that we are working within a, I would say, controlled space, but we also have some boundaries that we cannot really break. So that would be my point on it. I don't know if you want to add something, Brandon.
Yeah, I think, although formally we don't sort of endorse that as a route, it is always, has always been possible to take an interruption of studies without doing the dissertation, so you knock that forward into a third year. And so if in individual circumstances someone wishes to do that, it's quite straightforward to do. There's just a bit of paperwork and things. Can I introduce Charlotte, who I hadn't spotted on there? Thank you so much for popping the thing in there, Charlotte. Would you like to tell us what you think?
Yeah, so hi everyone, good evening. Lovely to see so many people and prospective students here. My name's Charlotte. I am a student currently on the MSc Patient Safety course. I have got a clinical background in midwifery, specifically in patient safety, clinical governance. And I chose to do the course last year for my own career progression, but also I've got a real interest in patient safety, how it's applicable to maternity in the current climate. And I wanted my education in patient safety to be grounded in sort of research and have a really good foundation. That's why I chose Imperial. A couple of things I wanted to touch upon. So I'm really enjoying the course so far. I've just finished health systems and policy, and I know Lana spoke about that earlier, and there are some things that I've taken away that I wasn't taught in my first degree in midwifery that are actually really useful if you're in if you're doing a degree, if you're looking at evidence, especially a lot of the my colleagues on the course come from clinical backgrounds, and it's something I think we're not taught at university as part of our course. It's something I really wish I was, so I'm really grateful to that, to the health systems for teaching us how to sort of critically appraise literature. The example I'm going to use is a recent change in NICE guidance about induction of labour for women. Previously I would have taken that as gospel. I'd have thought, nice, they know what they're talking about, and actually this course has taught me just to delve a bit deeper into that evidence and understand why and the sort of systems behind it and what evidence they've used and is it robust, and that is a really, really valuable skill. So really chuffed with that. The other course, the module that we've just finished, is the improvement in practice, which for a lot of clinical people in patient safety roles, a big aspect of your role is going to be improvement and QI projects. And that module really gave me the tools to sort of apply that in practice. So talking about, you know, how we implement a change and make it sustainable and measure those outcomes from a patient safety perspective is really, really interesting. I know that they've touched on assignments, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about sort of what my week looks like. I know Brendan said it's about 22 hours. I devote one day at the weekend, sort of an 8 till 5 day, and then I do a couple of hours every evening. Do not underestimate the amount of work. It's hard work, but it's also really interesting, and the team are really, really supportive. And we've, as a cohort, had a couple of sort of teething problems, I would say, just getting used to Blackboard and used to the online module content and just how it all rolls together. And I have to say the team have been really responsive to that. So in our first term, we had the modules run concurrently. So you do 1 week of one module, 1 week of the next module, and then you go back to the module before, and it was all quite difficult for us. So as a result of that, the team from year 2 next year, the year that you join, every module is going to run concurrently. So you'll do 8 weeks of module 1, 8 weeks of module 2, and you'll be able to just absorb all of that material in one go, which I think is going to work a lot better.
Eventually, rather than concurrently. So.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that you're going to meet a group of like-minded people. You're all working towards the same thing. You're all coming from different backgrounds, but with one common goal, and that's to make patient care safer. The opportunities for networking are amazing. I think there's about 6 different midwives on my course. We've all bandied together, as you can imagine midwives do. And we are really enjoying the course. I'm actually really enjoying the social impact of patient safety module that we've just started. And for me, that's really deep into what I love about psychological safety and how it impacts the patient, the clinicians, you know, staff support. That is really my bread and butter. I'm also looking forward to the dissertation module about writing about something that I'm passionate about in relation to patient safety. I actually currently work for HSIB in the Healthcare Safety Investigation branch. So a lot of my work at the moment is investigation. And I'm going to do a dissertation topic about how what I'm thinking about looking at is the effects of investigation on the investigator. The dissertation module has already been launched. I know that there was a question about anticipating any challenges. It's only 10,000 words. It's not a huge dissertation. It's very similar to sort of undergraduates, about what you would expect in an undergraduate dissertation. And the module lead, Ruth Black, has been really supportive. She's launched primers that we've done one already. We've got another one in June, and then the module launches in September. And it's really the modules about the dissertation are designed to help you write the chapters as you go along alongside your other modules. It's not designed to be overwhelming and an added thing. It's meant to be able to be facilitated within your work. And the only other thing I'd say on the dissertation is obviously trying to get it something to do with your work, so that it's something that you're feeding into, that your work can support. If some people are doing funded courses, some people might not be. I want this to be a Q&A thing. I'm going to pop my email, my student email, in the chat, so that if anyone's not brave enough to pop their hands up now, they can email me at a later date with any burning questions. But has anyone got any questions now? That was quite a lot of information I've thrown at you. I'm really sorry.
Okay. That's great. Thanks, thanks, Charlotte. That's really, really helpful. I think very comprehensive viewpoint of that. Nicole, coming back to your question, I haven't forgotten that there. Deadline for applying. It's sometime over the summer. It tends to be a bit of a variable feast, depending on applications and stuff. And the hard deadline is really the kind of enough time to get started for the beginning of the academic year. So end of July is the hard one. But often people put themselves down as wanting to apply for the Dean's Prize, which is a bursary or anything else like that around paying of fees. And I think the deadline for that is shortly after Easter. So the people that apply late miss out on being considered for that. So I think that's message is get your applications in early on there. Alistair, correct me on this. I think it's 13,000 total. I have to confess I haven't looked in detail.
I think it's 13,000 total.
I'm sure, can't believe it'd be 26,000. I mean, that,
yeah,
even for Imperial standards, that would not be manageable. So obviously it's different for overseas students, where it's more like double that. Any other questions? Anna, do you want to make any comments or anything?
No, just following up on what you said, Brandon, about applying sooner rather than later. I think that's a really good advice, just to make sure, that you can make the most of any potential financial support that might be available, because these kind of opportunities tend to close quite early. And also to make sure that there are enough available places. So yeah, I'd also encourage to apply as soon as you have made your decision. Yeah.
Okay. Floyd, you've got your hand up again.
Yes, sorry, just to check, when you're paying your fees, is it all in advance in one go, or do you do it in stages?
I can answer this question.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
So I've got a postgraduate master's loan through student finance, and it was really easy to set up a payment plan with Imperial. They'll send you a big bill at the beginning of the year. Don't fall off your chair. I know it's terrifying, but you just email them back and say, can I pay in installments? The only tricky thing to know, and I think it's a design fault by student finance releasing their payments when they do, but for me, the payments coincide with the day that my invoice is due, so there's a very quick turnaround for me. It just sort of flies in my account and flies straight out again, but it's really easy to set up a payment system, so you can do it in increments if you want to, instead of paying it all up front. So yeah, hope that helps.
Really good advice. I would not have known the answer to that question like that, so thank you. Helen.
Hi, yeah, thanks for talking, Charlotte, because I found that really useful to hear kind of someone who's going through the course. I think, like you, I'm a similar like-minded person, which is why I'm pursuing this, but I am slightly daunted by the amount of hours that you've mentioned. I just wonder how you're clearly doing it on top of your normal day job by what you're describing. Do you get no support at all from your day job to do the course?
So I am doing this my own, I'm funding it myself. I'm not, some people are funded through their place of work and therefore get study leave, and I don't. It's not as overwhelming as it sounds. And I know that it sounds weird saying that. And if I was on the receiving end, I probably wouldn't believe you, but trust me, the first term was difficult in terms of getting your head around the content, getting your head around Blackboard. It just takes organization. I'm working near enough full time, and I was before then. I've got a 2-year-old, just for context, so I'm not making it easy for myself, but it's manageable, and the content is really interesting. This is the thing, if you're going to do this, you need to be committed to it, and I am, because I'm passionate about patient safety. It's what I do, but to get the most out of it, you have to really engage. And I'm an example of like engaging with like the sort of online discussion. So for example, one of our lectures this week we're not really having a lecture, we're having a Q&A with a panel of experts about social impact of patient safety and those large scale failures like the mid-staff report. Now that's going to be really, really interesting, to drawing on their experiences. I'm not going to miss that for love nor money. But all the sessions are pre-recorded, so if you can't make one session, it's not the end of the world, because we're, you know, the courses are aware that you work Monday to Friday. A lot of people are balancing this on top of full-time jobs, and the thing is just to be really organized. Like when I take my notes, I take, you know, bare minimum as kind of learner I am. I'm happy to talk to you on a one-to-one basis if you want to ask me some more questions about how I'm doing it. But I'm not, the first time was difficult because it's just managing your expectations, the workload, how it all fits together. I think you'll find that once you do the modules, like you'll just do 8 weeks of module 1, that's going to be significantly easier, because we had it where we were cross chopping and changing, and that was quite difficult. So I think you'll find it easier from that sort of setup. I found that with the assessments that we had last year, the module content was, you get access to all of these journal articles and things like that. It's not been too taxing. I mean, it's stressful. It's a master's degree. It's not designed to sort of be a walk in the park. It's designed to challenge you and develop you and push you. But it is so interesting. And thinking about what I'm going to get out of it, I'm going to have a master's from one of the Russell Group universities in the subject that I'm really passionate about. Like, this is going to do so much for my career. Is that helpful? That might not be completely helpful, but I don't want you to be alarmed by how much. A lot of it is reading and engaging with your peers and listening to a lecture. You know, it's not all, you know, nose to the grindstone. It's all different things that sort of fit together, if that makes sense.
No, that is really helpful. It's just when you say it in hours, it just sounds I think, and like everything, you know, I mean, my patient safety role that I work in is like 1 PA, which is 4 hours a week, which that's not going to cover it. I won't be able to do any work to cover it with that. So it is just getting a bit of a concept really as to how it kind of fits in with life really. As I say, I think it's been useful because I think it's a realist's view as well, and that's what I probably needed to hear. Is in terms of the sort of people that have applied and done the first year, is there kind of a broad spectrum of people that are on the course, just for my interest really, just
Yeah, so the majority of us come from sort of medical backgrounds. Midwives, women, we just appear and pop up everywhere. So I think there were about 6 or 7 of us. And there's people from sort of different aspects of pharmacology, patient safety roles. We've got, I think, a consultant orthopedic surgeon. We've got someone from digital safety and IT and sort of the tech line. We've got people from all over really. So it doesn't, you know, it's a real mishmash of specialties, which is nice because we can draw on each other's experiences. We've got someone from the Patient Safety Collaborative who work on the national team. So it's not all just NHS colleagues, it's all over really.
And the course is very heavily based on the previous course that we used to run face-to-face. We just expanded, digitized, updated things, and it's a very similar mix to what we had then. I'm really glad that Charlotte's gone over that, because it's much more clear, I think, coming from someone who's actually in the midst of doing it, what the workload really is. I mean, you know, you can say it, and I think it really depends how organised you are. If you're a little bit disorganised, you've got a little bit of pressure at home life as well, and perhaps you're working shifts or something like that, then I think it's going to be difficult without significant support from employer. But if you've got some support, if you're quite well organised, if you're not having to do nights and stuff as well, thinking of the students who have struggled, there have been a few last year, to be fair. So I think it is certainly something to think about. The question about library access, yes, you're an Imperial student. You're registered as a student. You have a student card effectively, and you can use the library. You get all the student discounts, all that kind of thing. You know, student bus passes and stuff like that. You can make the most of it. So, anything else? Have we missed anything? Alistair, Charlotte?
No, we have covered assessment, we have covered the time commitment, the content. Yeah, and again, if someone wants to reach out directly, we can just pop our emails here as well. If you want to have a subsequent chat on these, we are always very happy to.
Yeah, I'll do that. There we go. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Hopefully that's answered any questions. I look forward to reading people's applications, hopefully. And thank you to Anna and Alistair, and especially to Charlotte for adding the time in. That's really appreciated. And I'll see Charlotte on our next module on safer systems, when we've got the live one in a couple of weeks' time. So anyway, good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye now.